Welcome back to the September edition of the Library Roadshow. We love to connect with authors here on the show, and we especially love to visit with authors in the library itself. So I'm really happy to give you a heads up for a visit later in September with Julie Williams, author of A Rare Titanic Family. Readers of all ages are fascinated by the story of the Titanic's ill-fated voyage, and thanks to wonderful shows like Downton Abbey, we're primed and ready for more books and stories set in that time period. So Julie, what inspired you to write your book about the Titanic?
Well, my book is A Rare Titanic Family, the Caldwell's Story of Survival. And this is a real personal story for me because Albert Caldwell of the book survived the Titanic, and he was my great-uncle. He was 26 years old at the time, and he and his wife Sylvia and their infant son Alden, all three survived the Titanic. And I knew Uncle Al very well. He lived to be 91, and he told me the story of the Titanic firsthand many times. He died when I was a senior in high school, so I really got to know the story well firsthand, and that was a big inspiration to write the book. I've always wanted to tell his story.
When did you first have the notion to actually write the book?
Well, I first had the notion to write the book, oddly enough, when I wrote another book. It was called Wings of Opportunity, The Wright Brothers in Montgomery, Alabama, 1910. It was about the Wright brothers' time in Alabama, which nobody even in Alabama knew they were there, but they were. And I always take one copy of every book I write and have people that were significant to the book sign it by, the piece they contributed or something. So one of the blurbers who wrote the blurb on the back of the book was signing it for me, and he said, "Too bad you didn't think to write about the Titanic. Didn't you have a relative on it?" And oh my goodness, as much as I told Uncle Al's story orally and have loved to tell it, had never thought about, I should write a book. And this was in February of 2010. And of course the anniversary of the Titanic, the 100th anniversary, was coming up in 2012. So I quickly emailed my editor at New South Books, and I said, "I have another book for you." And he said, "Okay, if you can write it by October, you can do it." So I had between February and October of 2010 to write the book, and I did. It was so much fun.
How's the release of the book impacted your family?
Oh gosh, I wish my family were on the phone with me because they would say it has impacted them a lot. My husband Evan has been so long-suffering and good, and taking over some of the laundry duties and such that I used to do before I was speaking a lot on the weekends. And my children have been very good to go to some of my performances. And when my Alden attends the performances, I make a point in one of my shows about the fact that we found some baby shoes that we think belonged to the first Alden, and we think he was wearing them off the Titanic. And I'll make the point that I tried them on my own Alden when he was the same age as the Titanic Alden, in which case my Alden will then hold up his size 13 feet, which are no longer baby size, and everybody gets a good laugh. One of my favorite things was I was at an event that had Titanic T-shirts for sale, and one of them said, "I was hit by an iceberg." So I bought that for my husband, and he thinks that's one of the funniest T-shirts he has.
You're on a book tour. Share some of the places you've been and where you plan to be in the next few weeks.
Well, I've been to many places all over Alabama where I live, all over North Carolina where my parents live. I've enjoyed every one of them. One place I went that I was very proud of was the National Archives in Washington, D.C. They let me come speak there. That was really fun. I also spoke at the Titanic Historical Society's commemoration of the 100th anniversary of the Titanic. I've also spoken at the Titanic Museum in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, where they have some of the Caldwell's relics on display on loan from our family. And I'm going to speak in your area at the East Baton Rouge Parish Library on Goodwood Boulevard on Saturday, September 28th. In fact, I will perform as Sylvia there. I'm looking forward to that. I'm just delighted. You all were one of the first libraries that contacted me, and I was real pleased about that. And I'll be speaking in Mississippi on the way there at the Ina Thompson Moss Point Library in Moss Point, Mississippi. That will be at 6 o'clock on September 24th. Oh, my September 28th appearance there in Baton Rouge will be at 2 o'clock. And in about a year from now, I'll be speaking at a Titanic museum in Dortmund, Germany. I'm really excited about that, too.
Any final thoughts you want to leave us with?
Oh, gosh. I could talk for hours on the Titanic, and I love doing it. So if you come to my show, you will just love hearing my enthusiasm. I think you'll get involved in the Titanic, too. It's been a real challenge to bring humor to the Titanic story as well as to educate, but it is a lot of fun for me. You can acquire A Rare Titanic Family at my performance at the East Baton Rouge Parish Library, and I'll be happy to sign it for you. You can also buy it on any online bookstore or through any bookstore at all. They can order it if they don't have it on their shelves. And if you contact New South Books, newsouthbooks.com, that's my publisher, and they can always get in touch with me about speaking or about if you need me to send you a book from my home signed to a special somebody in your life, I could do that too. Anyway, I've really had fun talking with you, and thanks so much. I'll see you on September 28th, and just would love to meet you. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Julie. I can't wait to hear more about Great Uncle Albert this month. You can visit with Julie in person, or rather in the person of her great aunt Sylvia, as she shares her family story, complete with period costume and props. She'll be cruising into town for the free program on Saturday, September 28th at 2 p.m. at the Main Library on Goodwood.
Hello out there in TV land. Today we have a craft that makes a great family project and also a special gift for Grandparents' Day. Family trees.
Tremendous. Let's get started.
For this craft, you will need brown paint or a marker. You can get some construction paper, crayons, colored pencils, and pens. First things first, you're going to want to take a piece of construction paper, and using brown paint or marker, you can draw a tree. If you are so inclined, you can cut your tree out and make it from paper. If you want to make your family tree bigger, you can also use poster board. Next, cut out the leaves from whatever color you want them to be. We chose green. Each represents a member of your family. Then glue the leaves to the tree. A fun variation of this project is to make a 3D family tree. Find trees and twigs and put them in a vase. On back of each leaf, write one reason why you love that family member. Punch a hole in the top of each one and tie them to the tree. A great fun project for the whole family to get involved with. And this craft ends happily ever after.
Thanks for sharing that tremendous treat, ladies. The Library Roadshow will be back in a moment. And coming up after the break, a spotlight of just a few of the events on the library community calendar, and then some page turners for fall. Stay right there. You're watching the Library Roadshow.